Now, and just to go through some of these aspects of this life, brothers, you know, subhanAllah, I want to begin by now the topic in particular, the topic of social justice. And social policy was actually what I said. You know, one of my jobs in the past is I used to lecture in social policy at Leeds University and Bradford University. And when I used to do this, I always used to say to the non-Muslim lecturers and other people as well, who invented social policy? And they'd look at me in a bit of a confused way because they think they've invented it. I said, no, the first historical account of the development of a social policy infrastructure is in the Khalifa of Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu. And I'd say this to them and they'd look at me in a confused way. What are you talking about? Just as some brothers might be confused, what are we talking about here? What is social policy? I'll give you an example. Who knows what child benefit is? Anyone know what child benefit is? Brothers know child benefit, yes? Children's allowance? Isn't it a brilliant thing this society has? They got a welfare state. They give every child a stipend. Every child gets benefit every week. For many families, brothers, this keeps them afloat. Isn't this a beautiful thing? This shows the justice of these non-Muslims in this society. Where did they get it from? Does anyone know where they got it from? Sorry? Umar radiyallahu anhu. Umar ibn al-Khattab. Even in Ireland, I'm told in Ireland, brothers and sisters, she told me there, on the child benefit book in Ireland, it used to be written at the bottom, as was originally established by Umar ibn al-Khattab, radiyallahu anhu. I'm trying to get one of these books. Brothers, let us try it. I've been really trying, and I know there's an Irish connection between Birmingham and here as well. So any brothers who know, try to get this. This is part of our heritage. This is part of our history. We've lost our history. And that's why we're dispossessed people. You know, how did Umar radiyallahu anhu establish child benefit? 2 stories, brothers. 2 stories. Let me tell you 2 stories. The first story, Umar ibn al-Khattab, he's doing his night patrol. As I told you, night patrol. And he's going through his city and he notices there's a tent there that wasn't there before. This shows you, brothers, this is a person who is aware of his environment and his people and his community. We can go think new buildings, new people come in and out of our community. We don't even know. New arrivals come and go. Some of the saddest aspects, people lie dead in their houses for weeks. Nobody knows. No community anymore, brothers. Umar ibn al-Khattab, night patrol. He sees there's a tent there that there wasn't there before. And he hears a crying coming from this tent, a painful voice coming in. And so he goes to the tent and the man of the tent comes out. He said, what's going on? He said, my wife is giving birth. And this was a poor family. He didn't know who the man was. He didn't know this was Amir al-Mu'mineen. And so what happens is that Umar, okay, and the man said, and Umar said, is anyone tending to her? I said, no one is tending to her. No one is tending to her. He ran home. He went and bought provisions. He bought food. He told his wife, Kulthum radiyallahu anha, he says, come, there's a woman giving birth, come and tend to her. Both of them arrived back on the scene. Kulthum went and tended to the woman. He then said to the man, light a fire. A fire was lit. He got the cooking pots out. He started to cook the food. And then Kulthum cries out, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, give congratulations to the man, he has had a baby boy. Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, give congratulations that he has had a baby boy. The man didn't know it was Amir al-Mu'mineen. And so then the man realized, whose presence am I in? And he became, I'm in the presence of Amir al-Mu'mineen. He realized this. And then he, obviously, you know, one is in the presence of such a person, one would become somewhat intimidated. And then he said to the man, here, take this food and feed your wife. And then the person said, then he became worried. He said, because he was a poor person. He said, what am I going to do after this? He says, come to me the next day, I will give the stipend. I will give you child benefit for your child. This is where child benefit comes from, brothers. You see, you know, subhanAllah, by the grace of Allah, Umar radiyallahu anhu established the treasury, the Baytul Mal. And in his time, brothers, you cannot even imagine the wealth that came to the Muslims. Let me give you an example. The treasury was established when Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu, he returned from Bahrain with 500,000 dirham. And the story goes, Umar radiyallahu anhu says to Abu Hurairah, how much did you bring back? 500,000 dirham. How much? 500,000 dirham. How much? 100 plus 100 plus 100 plus 1. He couldn't even believe this amount of money. I'll give you an idea of what currency was like at that time. Abu Bakr, radiyallahu anhu, his fortune was estimated at 50,000 dirham. 50,000. In that, the equivalent of him today would be multi-millionaire. Abu Bakr would have been considered as a multi-millionaire today. 50,000 dirham was his fortune. He spent it all in the service of Allah. He sent it all in the freeing of slaves, the saving of young girls who were being buried alive, and the support of the Prophet ﷺ. Multi-millionaire devoted his wealth to Islam. Now Abu Huraira radiyallahu anhu has bought 500,000 dirham back. And there was no treasury system at the moment. So he established the Baytul Mal. And from this Baytul Mal, you see, when I'm talking about the establishment of, so in Islam we have the first occurrence when a Baytul Mal, i.e. a community chest, the collective fund was established. Then Umar radiyallahu anhu appointed officials for the administration of this so that it was given to children, to fuqara, those people whose needs were, to widows, to orphans, to education, to health care, to looking after prisoners, so that the army also and the soldiers had a wage. This is what social policy is, brothers. No other, this is the first occurrence in history where we have. Before, yes, there was sadaqah. In the time of the Jews and the Christians, there was sadaqah. People gave charity and helped people in need, but there was no formal institution of collecting the money and then ensuring it is distributed to these various categories of people. On another occasion, Umar radiyallahu anhu, again, he's patrolling his city. He hears a child crying. He goes to the woman. He says, "Why is your child crying?" She said, "Because, okay, I've weaned him now and we've got no food to eat. I've weaned him now, we've got no food to eat. Because Amir al-Mu'mineen requires us to wean our children before we get the child benefit." Initially, Umar al-Khattab, he made it such that a child, when it was weaned, then it would receive child benefit. Before that time, because it's getting mum's milk, it doesn't need to have, the benefit or the stipend. So before that, he had this ruling that the child benefit would come after the child. So the woman weaned her child early to get the benefit, because they had poor people who are poor. Now she's got no food, and the child's crying because it's been weaned. Umar again goes home, brings food, brings provision, and gives it. And then when he gives it to the woman, he said, "If only Umar ibn al-Khattab was like you. If only Umar was like you." And then it goes, the story then continues. And she said, "Why is this happening?" He said, "Because..." And then Umar radiyallahu anhu, the next day he went and he was leading the Fajr prayer. And while he's leading the Fajr prayer, he was weeping. He's weeping to himself, Ya Allah, this decision that I made has killed children. How many children died as a result of this decision that I have given? Ya Allah, forgive me for this. And then he changed the ruling so that every child that was born would be given a child benefit, would be given money from the Baytul Mal, from the collective fund of the Muslims. And to give you an idea, so this was Abu Huraira who bought 500,000 dirham back from Bahrain. When the lands of Iraq had been conquered, 86 million dirham were collected from the lands of Iraq on an annual basis into Baytul Mal.